Hi, this is Tricia Crowley, and I'm the president of the Champaign County League of Women Voters. And Champaign County is sponsoring this educational forum on the question of municipal electric aggregation. And voter education is a major mission of the League of Women Voters. We typically do this in a number of different ways, for instance, by sponsoring candidate debates and also by sponsoring forums where information can be presented on referendum questions. On the March 20th primary for the cities of Champaign and Urbana on all ballots, Democratic, Republican, and nonpartisan, will be a question concerning municipal electric aggregation. And because this is a new issue in the state of Illinois, we thought it important to present some information to voters, and this is one of the ways that voters can get information. The city of Urbana has placed the question on the ballot and is presenting some educational, non-advocate oriented material concerning the issue, and so the purpose of tonight's forum is to present that information to you. So I'm going to turn it over to Charlie Smythe. And Charlie, you want to start?
Yes, and with me tonight and the preparer of the slide show that we're about to use is Mike Munson, the City Chief of Staff. Well, as Tricia said, the cities of Urbana and Champaign have a referendum question on municipal electric aggregation on the ballot next week. Election day is March 20th. And we are doing a joint campaign between the city of Champaign and the city of Urbana to educate the public on this topic. So I assume my slideshow is going to be yes, it's showing up. So I think we begin by explaining what municipal electric aggregation is. And basically, it's a program that allows the community, in this case the cities, to act as the agent to buy bulk electricity for residents and for very small businesses. By using the power of numbers, the aggregation of our population, we can get substantial savings and even consider the ability to purchase cleaner, renewable energy. It's important to note that the ballot question in Urbana, it will basically read municipal electric aggregation at the top, and it'll state, shall the city of Urbana have the authority to arrange for the supply of electricity for its residential and small commercial retail customers who have not opted out of such a program? And it's a yes or no question. Now, we're talking about a savings of 30%, and we're basing that on residents and small businesses compared to the Ameren default rate. And it's important to note that it's on the electric supply portion of your bill. If you look at page 2 of the Ameren bill, and I've got one in my hand right here, you'll see it's broken into 2 major sections: natural gas service and electric service billing detail. In each of these, there are 8 lines of prices or costs associated with the gas service. There are over a dozen associated with electric service, including the utility taxes that get charged. If you focus in on the electric supply portion, there are 5 on my bill that show up. The basic cost of actually producing the electricity, and then different charges associated with that. So it's that portion of the bill that we're talking about saving 20 to 30% off. Now, using numbers that I'll show in the next slide, we expect to save Urbana residents about $2.5 million a year. That's about $1.9 million for residents, another $0.6 million for small businesses. Now, the Ameren current rate is 6.3 cents per kilowatt hour. That's something that they negotiated a number of years ago, and but under aggregation, we're looking at potential prices around the 4.8 cents per kilowatt hour. Considerable difference. Ameren is locked into a rate that they agreed with and set up long-term contracts for a number of years ago. Aggregation is something that we can do now and take advantage of these lower rates. So we have information that a typical household uses 10,000 kilowatt hours per year. Doing the numbers and using the 4.8 cents, we get $150 in savings compared to current prices. Now, one of the things that I want to take a quick moment to explain is that a couple years ago, 2009, 2010, the legislature decoupled, separated the production of electricity and the distribution of electricity by the companies in Illinois. So Ameren and ComEd up in Chicago are only responsible for distributing power, but the production of energy comes can be bought from different places. And so that decoupling is what makes this available to us to be able to go out on the open market and get better prices. Now, a number of places are already taking advantage of that. Big businesses were taking advantage of this sort of thing a number of years ago. The cities, as a large, if you think of cities as a large enterprise, we've been taking advantage of these programs through different groups for a number of years. So it's that decoupling and deregulation that is making this a very competitive market. One of the things we're going to be able to do, going back to the slides here, renewable energy is something we'll be able to discuss. We're being told that, well, some places have already gone to this program and they're using 100% renewable energy, wind, solar, and that sort of thing, and their additional costs are 0.1 to 0.2 cents per kilowatt hour for the cost of electricity. The current rate that we just heard about was 0.12 cents per kilowatt hour to go to 100% renewable energy. Now, while we haven't made a final decision, Urbana staff and council, in conjunction with our Sustainability Advisory Commission and so on, are favoring 100% renewable. And you know, we figure it may be very worthwhile discussion because there's a large difference between the current default rate and the aggregation rate that we expect to pay, and a 0.1 to 0.2 cents difference is only a small percentage of that savings. I'll let Mike jump in whenever he thinks I make a mistake here or need to add some additional stuff. But right now, so a little over between 20 and 30 municipalities have already begun doing aggregation. And we're somewhere in the 275 to 300 that are holding referendums this March 20th to allow their communities to go after aggregation.
You might mention some of the larger cities in central Illinois, Peoria, Bloomington, Normal, and Champaign-Urbana all have aggregation referendums on the March 20th ballot.
So one of the things, of course, to consider here is that we're putting together an opt-out program. This allows us to basically include everybody in the city that qualifies. There will be opportunities to opt out of the program after, if the referendum passes, and in our process of putting it together, there'll be two opportunities for that. But not everybody saves money with aggregation, and the city is going to try to automatically exclude certain customer classes that won't benefit. Two of those that right off the top are those who were grandfathered in with what's known as the space heating discounted rate. Those are households that might be all electric, for example, and they already get a substantial discount. We don't think there's a savings there. The other group that we know about are those who participate in real-time pricing plans. They're metering their power by the hour or minute and taking advantages of price changes on the open market for power. So, for example, you might run your air conditioner. Don't run your air conditioner during the day. You do your laundry, you do your dishwashing in the middle of the night, and that sort of thing. And you take advantage of low-cost rates. So that's another category. Finally, there are two additional categories that we want to talk about as well and need to look at. There are those who have a percentage of income payment plan, a PIPP. Those folks would be another group that probably are already getting discounted. And finally, there's a group of people who have answered the solicitations. Right now, a lot of us are getting hangers on the door or phone calls or mail from some of the very same energy companies that we're looking to buy power from. and getting locking in a rate with them. Now, a lot of the advertising that I've seen is in the 5.6 cent per kilowatt hour. We expect to do better than that in this program. So, but anyway, the bottom line is that we will be contacting everybody. Hopefully we'll be able to figure out the data and contact those that are in one of the existing plans and let them know that we've already automatically opted them out. And then we'll explain the program to everybody else that if they don't want to be part of it, there'll be two chances to opt out. Later in the slide, Michael explained the procedure that we will follow should the referendum pass. Another thing that we're going to be able to do is, like I said, we expect 6.6 million of savings to small businesses, but most small businesses probably won't be part of the city's aggregation plan. The state ICC, in conjunction with Ameren, have defined small businesses as those that use 15,000 kilowatt hours of electricity or less per year. Those are the ones that we'll be able to include in this program. So that's probably something like a small barber shop, 1 or 2 person office, something that might be a little bit bigger than a typical house, but smaller than a grocery store, obviously, or even a small lawyer's office. So you'll be able to take a look at your power bill and figure out if you are 15,000 kilowatt hour or less per year. And I'm assuming that we'll be able to look at the data that we'll be getting from Ameren shortly to figure this out. So bigger businesses already can take advantage of the electric market that's out there. They can contract directly with a retail electric supplier. They can join an aggregation plan. The Champaign Chamber of Commerce has the Fighting Illini powered by Champion Energy plan, and it's open to residents and smaller businesses. If you go with that kind of that's something a small business that doesn't qualify for our program could go after. I know, like, for example, the city of Champaign, they work directly with an electric supplier. They just renegotiated their rate, and they expect to save up to $200,000 over the next 2 years with those changes. They were able to lock in a rate of 3.8 cents per kilowatt hour, as I understand it. So, like I said, aggregation is something the cities have been doing for a number of years. They're very familiar with it, and that's part of the reason why our own staff are tackling part of this issue. I'm going to turn this over to Mike, and he can talk about what we'll be doing post-referendum. And most importantly, should the referendum pass, then we're going to have to move very quickly.
Yeah, the cities will want to move quickly. We already have. If a referendum is approved, one of the first things the city needs to do is pass a plan of operation and governance. That kind of basically would describe how you run the program. We already have a draft. We already have the hearings scheduled if it does pass. Those are scheduled for March 26th at 7 p.m. at the start of the council meeting, and also April 2nd at the start of the council meeting. That plan will describe different things we intend to include in the program. For example, we're going to include language for early termination if we get a supplier that is just not doing the job. We've got language in there that we can terminate the contract early before if it's a 2-year contract, we can terminate it early. We're going to have some customer confidentiality protections in there, so they can't resell their customer list to marketers, so you're inundated with more mailings. We intend to, a lot of cities, especially up north, they have after the 2 opt-out periods, if you decide I don't want to be in this program, you have to pay a termination fee, and that tends to vary between $25 and $50. Mayor Pressing decided that she does not like that idea, especially a mobile community like this with people moving in and out all the time. So we are not going to have a termination fee. So even after the opt-out periods, if you should decide for whatever reason you don't want to participate, we're not going to require you to. I think there was there was another requirement, I couldn't remember it, but some of the post-referendum steps, after we've been, in February we did a request for qualifications. We got 4 responses from retail electric suppliers. We have 3 finalists that we're working with. After we adopt the plan of operation and governance, we can start a bidding process, and that's what we intend to do. We hope to do it quickly with 300 some communities about to, may have approval of this. There's going to be a real crush on the electric companies to respond to bids. We like to be early so that we can get our program implemented early, because the earlier it's implemented, the earlier residents can begin to get savings. Our ideal goal time would be in July or August. It could take longer. Up north, there's about 20 communities that have implemented this, and I understand the earliest any of them got it implemented was 7 months later, so it took a while. But we're hoping to be a little bit faster on that. So after the bidding process, residents will get sent a notification with opt-out forms, and they'll have a couple weeks to respond. I think our plan calls for 3 weeks to respond. Besides letters that you'll get with self-addressed stamped envelopes, retail electric suppliers could have a phone number that people could call, or they could even do it over the web. So I think that's it.
Yeah, there are a couple of quick questions I know that I want to answer to clarify to people. One of the nice things about our program is that you will continue to get one bill from Ameren. That's an important consideration here. If you have problems with power, the transformer blows, a tree falls on your power line, problems with your bill, those will still continue through Ameren. You'll still see Ameren. You'll still have page 2, which breaks down the different costs. So that's one nice piece of all of this.
It should be noted that some of the electric suppliers, you would get 2 bills if some of these companies you sign up with. I'm not saying all of them, but I know that some of them you would get 2 separate bills, where if you go with the city's program, just 1 bill from Ameren.
Yeah, another thing we'll have to work on is figuring out, since we're a very transient community, we're going to need to figure out how to bring new customers into the program. We'll have to work with our contract and Ameren on how that will work. The program as it stands, if it's approved, will apply to all the current customers. So you leave town, you drop out of the program, but for people coming into town, and of course we get a yearly influx of new people in August, and so August and January, we'll need to develop a program to get information to them and get them included in the program.
I guess there are a couple of questions that occur to me, and so I'm going to just ask them, and you can answer generally. And one is, will the cost of this program, through this program, ever be more than the default rate?
That's one of the things we're including in our plan of operation and governance. We're going to request that the supplier provide a guarantee that it would not exceed the default rate. That will probably push the price up slightly, because when you remove risk, you increase price, but we think that's probably worth doing.
And, what is Ameren's position about municipal electric aggregation?
Well, since they are not producing the electricity, they're a neutral party on it. In fact, they're running ads on TV stating that we're your distributor, but you can buy power from wherever it's authorized. Now, the state of Illinois, though, controls who is authorized to sell us power. I think it's about a dozen different companies that we can work with. And like Mike said, we're down to 3 that we will be working with in the future.
It's important to note, too, that this is not like a government takeover. Currently, even when you pay the default rate, those contracts are arranged for by a state agency called the Illinois Power Agency. So government is already intimately involved in your power bill. This would just take it from state government to local government. More responsive.
Then I guess another question would be, what are the city's costs to do this program, and how do you recoup those costs, and are you going to be making any kind of profit or additional monies from this program?
Well, so far we've spent $9,000 for the education campaign, the website, the materials, the mailings, and we have separately we expect to spend $15,000 to $20,000 on a private consultant that we've hired. Now, contrast that with package deals that you can go out and get, where the estimated cost is between $100,000 and $200,000, and it's charged to the consumer after the fact. They charge zero point 0.1 cent of the per kilowatt hour for their services in setting this up and then running the program. So we're trying to do this in-house so that we can pass on those savings to the consumer. We will be recouping our $9,000 and those consultant costs from the supplier down the road, and possibly a little bit more. There's some incremental staff time that we'll look at and try to estimate. But we do have a considerable expertise in-house in dealing with this already from a city point of view, so we're adding on to that. So we'll have to do some number crunching, but we expect to pass on the savings by doing it in-house.
I think there's a considerable amount of not say ignorance, because a lot of people are not aware of the question or aware of the facts, but one of the reactions that I get is when you say that you're going to spend, $20,000 and save $2.5 million for the citizens of Urbana. It's like, somehow that seems unlikely. But for once, the state of Illinois and the state legislature seem to have done something really good in being able to provide this opportunity.
There is a good website that people might want to look at from the Citizens Utility Board, which talks about some of the issues and some of the long term. Right now, if we could lock in the rate, we know we can save a lot of money versus the default Ameren rate. Now, that default Ameren rate is going to change next year. June 2013, their contract ends. They'll be able to get a new default rate, and I'm sure it's going to be down a bit.
It'll actually change in June.
June of 2013.
Every 6 months.
Every 6 months. Oh, this June it'll change?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
It'll probably trend downward. The interesting thing is, though, that typically they would need to buy 30% of their power this June, because so many communities are going this municipal electric aggregation route and have referendums, instead of needing to buy 30% of their overall power needs, they may only need to buy 5%, because a lot of the power they're supplying is not going to be needed anymore. So there's one aspect of that.
Yeah. So right now we know we can save the consumer money, and if the default rate drops below it, we hope to be able to take advantage of the default rate, whatever it is. And as I say, we're trying to minimize the costs by doing as much of this in-house and keeping them minimum versus having some company do it for us and take a cut off the top. So we're going to try to pass on as much savings as we can. It's a unique opportunity for the city to save the residents money.
And back when Trish Crowley was a deputy city attorney for Champaign, remember we talked about this, and we talked about consultants and how much they would be making off this. And not to knock the consulting companies, because the one company that is doing a lot of business is very good at what they do, but we figured for Urbana it would cost, if there was a 2-year contract, 1/10 of a cent per kilowatt hour would cost Urbana residents about $300,000. Contrast that with a $9,000 campaign and maybe $15,000 or $20,000 on a consultant. And I know Champaign, it would be double that, I imagine, because Champaign is twice our size. So we're trying to say, if we're going to charge residents any more, we want to do that because maybe there's 100% green power, which can help us meet our climate action plan, can help reduce greenhouse gases. We don't want to do it to enrich a consultant.
And I guess then I have a couple of questions about green power, or clean energy, and putting renewable energy into the bid. And it's obvious that electricity goes into this big grid, and you're not getting, you can't buy power from a wind company and have it come directly to Urbana. So how does that work, or what's the mechanism for actually making sure that you have got renewable energy?
Yeah, we got a good explanation of that actually last week, listening to the Citizens Utility Board representative on a show we did on WLL. What you get are renewable energy credits. You get a certification from the company that the power that you're buying is equivalently being produced from a renewable source such as solar or wind. Or hydroelectric, for example. And so those renewable energy credits are what you actually, as a city, would be purchasing. And for example, I want to use Oak Park. The Village of Oak Park passed this in 2011. They have 100% renewable energy as in their portfolio, and they know that 92% of that is Illinois wind power, is what they've been told. So you purchase these. Now, what the City Council has already asked staff to do is start looking at mixes of 50, 75, and 100% renewable energy in these bids, and that's probably what we'll ask the companies to do, so we can do a little comparison shopping.
Okay. We've got some people in the audience. I wonder if there are questions from the audience. I will bring you a microphone, and you can ask them directly.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I'm on the Sustainability Advisory Committee as well as Sierra.
Could you hold the mic
As
really
well as
close? There you go.
Sierra.
One more time. Go ahead.
Is it on?
Is it on?
Yeah, it's on.
Green light. Okay, there we go. So I'm on the Sustainability Advisory Committee as well as a board member of the local Sierra Club. So personally, I'm in the real-time metering, whatever you call that. So, but I would much prefer green energy, even if that's a small increase. But I didn't realize that I would be automatically opted out for the program because I'm in the.
That's a very good point, and one I wanted to bring up earlier. I should have. Okay, so for those folks that are automatically opted out, what you want to do is look at your renewal time and your renewal costs. And any termination fees that you have to charge. Most of these companies that are already soliciting, if you're getting, power at 5.6 cents through one of the companies that have been leafleting or calling you or so on, you need to look at the fine print and find out what the termination costs are or what your when your renewal is. And make sure it's not an automatic renewal. So that's one point. So be watching for when you renew, because you might want to take a look at the city's program then. If you're in the real-time energy pricing, again, you want to find out what your renewal options are, what your termination options are. Take a look at what the city's doing. It may be a wash. I know Gary Zico thinks it will be a wash, sort of depending on the price. How much you save in the one program versus joining the city's program, particularly with the 100% renewable.
Right.
So yeah, it might be plus or minus $10 or $20 or $30 a year.
So even people who are initially opted out can opt into the program either at a cost of termination or at the end of some contract.
Right. And so what Citizens Utility Board website points out, and if people want to go look at this, is really look at the fine print of your current agreement to find out how your termination works and what the costs are, and if they're prohibitive, wait for your renewal time. These things renew every 1 or 2 years. Look at the renewal date and make sure if it's an automatic renewal, make sure you get it stopped. Stop the renewal so that you can switch and opt into a city program.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm Jim Beauchamp, and I'm a user of American IP Power, and I don't have any clue that I would have any trouble dropping out. Am I subject to some cancellation fee or something? I didn't know that I was.
I'll let Mike answer this since he's nodding his head no.
No, there'll be no cancellation fee when you're included in the city's aggregation program. You'll just get a lower rate, and you'll on your bill under the electric supply portion, you'll see a different company's name, but you'll pay no penalty fee or anything like that.
It's automatic, and that happens without having to do anything.
Right. You'll get some opt-out letter. Just ignore it. Throw it away.
So I don't understand what's the difference between my situation and Rachel's.
She has real-time pricing, which is.
Oh,
you
I
have
see.
to-
I've never heard of that.
You
Okay.
basically, that's for people who like do their heavy energy use during off hours, like you do your dishwasher and laundry at midnight or something.
Oh,
like
you
that.
see, you can. There are times when you can run your heavy duty appliances and you'll get charged less.
Right.
I see. I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't know
actually,
about
the
that.
energy market fluctuates. It just goes up and down all day long, and certain periods of the day prices are really high, and certain periods of the day or night, usually the prices can be really low. And and those in real-time pricing can even be cut off or browned out at certain points under peak loads. So they're if you're in one of these, if you're in that program, and like I said, there are a couple other programs as well where you're already getting a savings. That anybody who was grandfathered in with, if you have an all-electric heating system, many of those folks were grandfathered in. If you've been grandfathered in, you probably want to stay on that program. If you're one of the new people who has all electric but isn't grandfathered in, you will save money by being in this program. The advantage here is that we're doing an automatic opt-in program. So we're going to take advantage of all the folks that we possibly can at a single point, and use the power of those numbers to get the best electric price we can, and then remove those who wouldn't benefit from it, and allow others to opt out who don't want to be part of the program. But right now, for example, you're paying 6.3 cents per kilowatt hour to Ameren, or to Ameren's power supplier, while under aggregation, and this is something the legislature allows us to. The legislature allows us to establish that and take over at no penalty to you. That's the big kicker. This aggregation procedure allows us to circumvent any termination charges from Ameren.
Yeah, I think they did that in a 2010 law because actually I think deregulation may have begun in the late 90s, and there were so few residents who had taken advantage of it. They came up with this opt-out aggregation program where if voters approve a referendum, then you can get large numbers into the program. So it was something the legislature and the state want. They want to encourage this. They actually want this. They want to see people taking advantage of it.
My name is Brandon Boyes. I work for the city of Urbana, so I've been exposed to this information quite a few times. I'm not sure if it's a good or a bad thing that this is all starting to make sense to me. There's a lot of ins and outs and details to how this can proceed, the options that are available. So I'm wondering if you can just bring it back to that referendum question, maybe read it again, and just be really clear about what does a yes vote mean and what does a no vote mean in terms of, I guess, what it allows or doesn't allow the city to do. I know sometimes the way referendum questions are worded, the intent of the voter isn't always clear in terms of if you should vote yes or no. So if you could just lay that out, I think.
Okay,
that would be
I'll read
helpful.
the ballot question again. And like Trish said in the introduction, whether you're voting partisan or nonpartisan, or you pull a Republican, Democrat, or a nonpartisan ballot for next week. And so you can vote whether you want to declare a party affiliation or not. So that's real important. The ballot question, and it's identical in Champaign, it just has a different title in Champaign, but in Urbana it says, shall the city of Urbana have the authority to arrange for the supply of electricity for its residential and small commercial retail customers who have not opted out of such a program? And you vote yes or no. A yes vote, a majority yes vote, would allow the city to go out and act as your agent in setting up the electric supply part of your power bill. It'll let us go out there and negotiate a lower rate and a different potential mix of where that power and how that power is produced than the default Ameren. And right now, we know we can if we can lock in some of the current rates, we know we can save money. Long term, it depends on how the market fluctuates. But like Mike has pointed out, we're going to try to make sure that we save and never exceed the Ameren default rate.
Questions? Okay, anything?
Oh, we got another one back here.
I don't know if this currently applies, but if people produce their own electricity through solar or whatever, currently they can add that to the grid, is that
Yes,
correct?
there are several
And
people
would that
that
be an
have.
opt-out, or is that still
I have,
doable
that's an
under
interesting one.
aggregation?
That's an interesting one. I would imagine they could.
They'll get a lower rate?
We'll have to. They're already getting some kind of a rate associated with Ameren. So we have a fifth category to go check out. And I know just the person I know somebody who does that and feeds the grid. I'll have to ask him to let us know what the fine print is. It's a very good question. We'll have to find that out.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, I should point out that the state of Illinois requires that the power companies take power produced in this fashion. So if you've got a solar grid on your house or something like that, you feed it back to the grid in the same way that a large producer feeds it to the grid.
Yes, I was late getting in here, so I hope you don't mind if I ask a question. I'm pretty ignorant about this. So if the referendum passes, then what happens next?
Okay, yeah, we're going to go we have a state mandated procedure that we have to follow. We have to have a couple of public hearings to discuss and develop our program, our plan of operation and governance. Okay, and that sort of lays out, we do this, you do that, company does this, company Y does that sort of thing. The fine print in the contract. It's a contract for how we.
It lays out how the city is going to run its program, what procedures we're going to follow, and things like that.
I'm just wondering, are we going to be opted in automatically, or
Yes.
are we going to get a letter?
You are in the program unless you sign the letter to opt out.
Okay.
And you'll get two chances. You'll get a letter from the retail electric supplier, and you'll also get a letter later on from Ameren. So you'll have two bites of the apple there. And plus, we don't intend to charge a termination fee, so you can even do it after that.
So
But I don't
if
think
I
you'll
don't
want
do
to.
anything, then I'll be in.
Correct.
Yeah. Right. So we have the plan of operation that's to be developed. We need to decide on the mix of power. Have a good discussion on that. We'll have 2 public hearings on that. Following that, the city council will adopt a plan, and once that's done, we will go out and negotiate a final agreement with one of these pre-set up companies that we've already been working on with language and stuff.
We will seek bids from those 3 finalists.
Yeah.
So it will be
we've-
after the bidding process that we will get the letters saying
Yes.
this is what happened, and you have a chance of opting out at this point.
Yeah, and as part of the opt-out letter, you'll be able to compare the default rate and the rate, the aggregated rate. So you'll see exactly what's the better deal.
Yeah, one thing I've got to compliment city staff. Has done a great job on researching this, getting a lot of stuff together. And Mike, Brandon, boys have all, our city attorney, a number of people have been involved in getting the information all together in easy digestible form here. Mike put together this PowerPoint with help from different people. I'm just the mouthpiece. I really appreciate all the hard work that they've done on this. We're going to be able to save the citizens money, at least in the short run.
Charlie, can you tell the audience a couple places they might look for additional information?
Oh, yes, of course, yeah. A couple of places you can go for information. We have the joint city's website, powervotecu.com, exactly like it's spelled, powervotecu.com. The City of Urbana website, urbanaillinois.us, has its own frequently asked questions. In both of these places, make sure you click the FAQ, the frequently asked questions link.
Plus a 5-minute video.
There's a 5-minute video on the city website. I assume there'll be a link to this program on the website. This program will be out there. Jason from our AV group put together this 5-minute piece. Another bit of excellent staff work. So there's lots of stuff out there. The Citizens Utility Board has a 4-page frequently asked questions on this, and there's the Illinois Commerce Commission has www.pluginillinois.org. That's another one you can look at that has some good information. It actually tells you how many communities are out there doing this.
Yeah, the pluginillinois.org is in it. It's a little difficult to navigate, but it has a ton of good information on that. If you want a little broader statewide perspective of this program, I would recommend you check that out too.
Okay, just two more, then I'll leave you alone. I understand that Illinois is late in coming to this. Is that correct? A lot of other states have had it for a while.
Ohio has had it for 10 years, but other states are just coming on board as
Oh,
well.
along with this,
Yeah.
okay.
Some other, California had some experience with power rates and, that was pretty bad
Right.
in terms of,
Enron.
Enron and brownouts. And
But I
things
think
like that.
that's
So
different.
I think a lot of states have been sort of scared off. So in this sense, Illinois is a leader in deregulating electricity.
And I'm just wondering if you know what percentage would be automatically opted out, just out of curiosity.
No, but we'll have a better idea. We've just last night passed an ordinance signing off on a non-disclosure agreement with Ameren. So we'll be getting their load data, as it's referred to, which they're basically a database of who's who and on how much. So it's looking at that, we'll be able to figure out who the small businesses are, and hopefully we'll be able to tease out who's in these different programs. And now we have a fifth category to look at, which is the people who have inverters and are supplying energy to the grid.
Thank you.
Well, I think that's the end of the program, and you want to wrap it up, or?
I think answering Brandon's question was a really good one. So about what the ordinance is. Again, we're looking for people to learn about this. We've talked about the website. Like I said, powervotecu.com. The election is next Tuesday. The last day to vote is next Tuesday, March 20th, in the primary. There's a partisan. The ballot question is on both the partisan and the nonpartisan ballot. So if you don't want to declare a party, you can take a nonpartisan ballot. Early voting is currently taking place through
the 15th, 2 more days.
2 more days through the 15th.
And then you can get what do they call the ballot, the early ballot? Yeah, you can do an absentee ballot, I think, up through like Saturday or so. Don't quote me on that, but you have options if you want to vote early.
Yeah, so you're the couple days left on early voting. Next week is spring break, so if you are going out of town next week, it's very easy to stop in at the county clerk's office at the Brookins Center on East Washington Street in Urbana and vote. It takes about a minute and a half to go through the process, or so I'm told.
Okay, and we'll wrap it up. And I'd like to thank the city on behalf of the League of Women Voters for their efforts in making this voter education program possible, and thank you very much.